Audio check. Check it for me one time.
Oh, yeah.
Words, speaking,
Checking.
stuff.
Waiting. Waiting. Still waiting.
Processing.
Stream offline. Except it's not.
Buffering.
Processing. Processing.
More waiting. And still more waiting. Wow, it doesn't really take this long. Makes me wonder if I have my feed wrong. Did I
Someone
copy the
broke
wrong
the
URL
Googles.
or something? Sometimes, see, I change the title on YouTube, and that changes the URL. Sometimes I copy the URL before it's had a chance to update. But the title has changed. So I don't think that's it. And it says we're streaming.
Maybe we are.
Still waiting. Let's try the old refresh.
Ginger's here.
Hey, man.
You know what they say. Reboot, reinstall, run away.
Time to format, reinstall, doo-da, doo-da.
Oh, he says he hears and sees us.
Okay. I don't know why I'm not, but if you are, must be working.
Go with that.
Yes. Yeah, it just did. There's something I can do for you? Because, I mean, we haven't actually started. I just hit the go button.
Go, gadget stuff.
Not really. Are you? Why didn't you just go? Try it on the laptop. Sorry.
Tech support.
Yeah, that's right. She's trying to watch the live stream of a thing at our church. And I was like, well, just go to the church. Didn't it start at 8, not 7:30? Maybe that's why it's not working. I should have got it to come on camera. Wave at the ones of people. I'm just waiting to do a sound check, but if Jinja says it's good, maybe I don't need a sound check and I should just close the thing. But I don't know. Can I trust you, Jinja? Can I believe you?
If you can see it, it must be real.
I don't know that I trust somebody 7:30 who would. It's not working.
Oh, wait, I'm hearing stuff.
Yeah, it was coming through.
Echo.
I should have got it to come on camera. Wave at the ones of people. Is it breaking up for you, or is it just me? I'm just waiting to do a sound check, but if Jinja says it's good, maybe I don't need a sound check and I should just close the thing. But I don't know. Can I trust you, Jinja? Can I believe you? Mark Twain used to say, I refuse to be a part of any organization who would have me. Who would. It's not working.
Oh, wait, I'm hearing.
It was overmodulating, man.
Yeah.
Now it's not.
That's just it. I am convinced that's just my crappy computer. It's not a crappy. It's a fine computer. It's just overworked. Don't go on strike, computer. I believe in you. I really do. Okay.
Go big or go home.
So please begin your local recording if you haven't already.
Recycling electrons as we speak.
So I don't know. I was going to make some sort of announcement about the fact that last week's show, like the first people who downloaded it right away got a weird copy and then I fixed it and re-uploaded, but they already know that by now. So I guess. I don't really have a way to reach out to people. I mean, most of the people who listen to the show aren't following us on Twitter. At least that's what the numbers say, because we've got like 9 Twitter followers. and thousands of listeners. So I don't have any way other than putting something else in the feed to contact the listeners. This is a problem with podcasting. It's not a feedback-oriented medium. Yeah, anyway.
That is correct.
All right. I am recording. You are recording. Jenda's listening. The live stream is streaming. So I'm going to click over here and go Control-M for make a marker, and let's do this thing. Hello, everyone, and welcome to the GeekRant, episode 350, Milestones, Monuments, and Merrymaking. Brought to you by... wait, how do I usually do this? I just completely had a brain... ordinarily, I can do that intro while doing differential calculus and juggling knives. It's just so part of me. It's not even... It's a spinal cord response thing anymore. I don't even need to think about it. But for some reason, today, I just got to admit... Today, I've been off like that all day. I've been off kilter. Everything's just been a little off center. One of those days where I just should have stayed in bed, I guess.
Full moon.
Is it really? I don't know.
No, it's not.
I played and sang in church this morning. I wasn't there. Wasn't at my best. I'm doing the podcast thing. Yeah. So just buckle up. It's going to be one of those nights where I'm not going to be bad. I'm just not going to be as good as I should be. So, okay, one more time. Here we go. Hello, everyone, and welcome to the GeekRant, episode 350, Milestones, Monuments, and Merriment, recorded February 24th, 2019, and brought to you by Element OP Productions, elementop.com. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to Drive Time Radio for Geek. I'm your host, Mark, sometimes known as the Sultan of the Soapbox Cockerel, and joining me this week, as always, are your two stalwart co-hosts, Seth, the Gooey Kid Anderson, and Miles, the Oxygenator Wakeham. Hello, gentlemen.
Hey, Mark, and welcome back, Opeites. I'm so glad to be here again.
And I still hate Max, although maybe a little less now.
And no, you're not allowed. You got to hate him more. This is one of those ever-increasing hatred moments.
Yeah, point taken.
So I had a revelation today. I wasn't even thinking about talking this, but at lunch, talking with my Georgia friends, in Georgia, you must have a Chick-fil-A and wash it down with Coca-Cola, because this is the mecca of all these things. And I had the epiphany today. Chick-fil-A is the Mac of chicken. It's a bland piece of dry chicken on bread with no seasoning, but it's cost more, and it's a superb experience. And therefore, people think it is the perfect chicken.
Okay, but you might have just consigned yourself to roast in hell for all eternity for blaspheming.
I know, it is the Jesus chicken.
Yes. And what he is blessed, let no one curse or something like that.
The Mac of chicken. You've blown my mind,
it
sir.
No.
And like Bojangles is the Android of chicken. It's cheap, greasy, but it's good. And I guess Kentucky Fried Chicken is the Linux.
Windows definitely.
Okay.
It's basic. Middle of the road.
And then it was funny because I threw that bomb out there, and I'm listening to my Georgia friends come to the defense of Chick-fil-A as if it's some requirement for your Georgia citizenship that you do that. And they talk about the principles and the fact that they're closed on Sunday. And and so that's reason enough to eat bland chicken on dry toast. And they were like, well, yeah, okay. That sounds like something a Mac user would say.
They'd have avocado on that toast, Mark.
Yeah. Okay. So,
I don't know, because they, Chick-fil-A, here's the thing. Chick-fil-A will kill you with kindness. Mac expects you to die a slow death of smugness. So there is the big differentiation.
Now, if you've ever been to a Mac store, they are super polite there. There is absolutely smugness in the air. I mean, you need a respirator to survive the smugness, but they're super polite about it. It's just an underhanded polite.
I can't make it to the door of the Mac store because the smugness. It's like, it's like that. You remember that one guy on the Weather Channel where he's like faking bracing into the wind,
right.
Except it's just like, I'm trying to get there, and so it's hard. But no, Chick-fil-A, they welcome you in. Please come eat our chicken. And the Mac's like, you can't afford this stuff. Get out.
Yeah.
So that's the difference. There is a difference.
Jinda says he's a Mac user. Do you also like Chick-fil-A, Jinda? But you're from New York. Chick-fil-A hasn't really broken in there yet.
They have real food in New York, like pizza and hot dogs and stuff, and great sandwiches.
Yeah, it's all about the deli there.
Yeah.
Remember this conversation when we get to the end and Seth's show closing spectacular. That's all I've got to say.
Did we unintentionally foreshadow? Nice.
No, this is one of I can't remember. Yes, good epic foreshadowing.
All right. I just wanted to give a quick. He says he's not a Mac user. He runs Linux. Okay, I misunderstood.
Oh, hallelujah, brother.
Good. I like you again. It's like
we almost banned you from the show.
The dogs in the movie Up. I like you temporarily. Yeah, So a quick movie review. Not surprising. The movie Rampage isn't a good movie. So there's my review. It's every bit as bad as you think it's going to be. It's a video game. It's a movie based on a mediocre video game starring Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson. You know it's going to be bad going in. In fact, when we sat down as a family to watch this, we all were just sort of in agreement. This is going to suck, right? We all agree? Yeah, okay. But it's going to be probably bad in the best way. And absolutely. It was cheesy and ridiculous and insulting to your intelligence, but in the best way. So Rampage is really bad, but worth it. That's my review.
No disagreements there. It is what it is. And Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson is your, bubblegum for the brain action spectacular star. So we might not can smell what The Rock is cooking anymore, but we can dang sure see what he's cheesifying. So,
so we're not going to see a nomination at tonight's Oscars for this movie, I guess.
No, yeah, we are sacrificing our Oscar viewing time to bring you this podcast. So, I thank you for pointing that out. Our should be noted. And this looks like something anime. So.
Yeah, this is oh golly, I can't even remember her name anymore. That's how awesome the movie is. Alita: Battle Angel is the live action adaptation of Alita: Battle Angel anime and manga. And so not the best movie by any stretch of the imagination. Visually, it is very, very good. So if you think Ghost in the Shell is like this bad movie, which we all kind of agree it is, this is like halfway between Ghost in the Shell and Avatar. So solid entry. I had watched to get ready for it. I had watched the first part of the anime series, and basically they stuck very close. They incorporated some stuff from the later volumes just to kind of give the runtime. One of the cool things about Japanese anime is they just throw you in the middle of the story a lot of times, and you don't necessarily know everything that got them there. You learn some of it in flashbacks, and a lot of the pushback on the movie. Oh, well, they never explained how, and I mean, I thought of half a dozen ways where you could have got to that opening that didn't require any suspension of disbelief within the realm that they created. So not a great movie, not a bad movie. I think it's a good movie to watch. I enjoyed it. But again, I'm an anime manga lover. So Alita: Battle Angel looks really good. One of the cool things is the fight scenes are so well done, choreography wise, that they don't have to do the jerky camera to make. I mean, it looks like brutal dancing. It's so well done. Anyway, Alita: Battle Angel, it's not the Citizen Kane of movies, but it's good.
Is this animated or live action?
Live action adaptation.
Okay. Because I just assumed animated until you said shaky camera.
Yeah.
All right. By the way, just a nod to the first Pacific Rim movie. One of the best battle action sequences all the way through of any movie I've ever seen, and not at any point did you get confused about who was hitting who. There was none of that getting lost in the motion. At every point, the action was clear and cogent, and it was just good, exciting battle animation. In terms of CGI battle animation, that's probably the best I've ever seen. Just thought I'd throw that out there.
Yeah, it was really good. So,
yeah, I mean, it is everything Transformers was not.
Yep, no disagreement there.
And then Seth, Miles, in sticking with the financial February thing, made a discovery this week. Shocking. Inquiring minds want to know.
I did. I'm going to bring you back from movies and escapism to the boring reality of life. But with it, I discovered some really shocking information. But here's the backstory. I'm interested in buying some gold as an investment. And I bought a little bit last year, and it's done very well for us. And so I thought we'd buy some more. So there's a few people who I kind of follow on the YouTubes and podcasts and so on who are big in the, I guess, alternative investing space. And one of them is a guy by the name of Doug Casey. I don't know if you've heard of this guy. He's a bit wacko, but he is one of these billionaire type investors who did really, really well back in the 70s and the 80s, investing in what he called crisis investing. So I went on YouTube anyway to find out what's his position on, gold. Is it going to go up? Going to go down? I don't know. And, you search, and of course it comes up all these videos. And one of them was this guy being interviewed in 1981 on the Phil Donahue show. Now, probably most of our audience would be way too old to remember who Phil Donahue was. But back in the 80s, he used to be like the male Oprah.
Oh, yeah.
TV, right? It was really a hot property. And if you were interviewed on his show, you'd made it. Well, I watched this 1981 episode of the Phil Donahue show interviewing Doug Casey, and man, it was weird because I looked, you come face to face sometimes with history. And you remember, I was 18 years old in 1981 when this was filmed. And what happened was that there were all these predictions that were made by Doug Casey on this TV show. And my God, I'd say 90% of them came true. Now, the timing was a bit off, but I was just reading through the YouTube comments afterwards, and this guy had taken the time to post these statistics, these financial statistics of what things cost and what things were, what was life like in 1981, and then draw a direct parallel to what it looked like in 2018 or whenever this video went live. I just wanted to share a few of these numbers because they're going to blow your mind. So check this out. All right. So in 1981, world population was 4 billion people. So today we're at 7.3 billion people. So we're almost double world population.
Wow.
Since I was 18, right? Okay, so here's another one. Average male life expectancy in 1980, 73.6 years. This is US numbers, by the way. Today, average male life expectancy, 76.1 years. In that period of time, that is what... how many years are we talking about? 30 years, something like that. We've only increased life expectancy by 3 years. And the main reason why it's down is because of the opioid crisis. And, the number of it's the leading cause of death in under 50-year-olds. It's surpassed heart disease and car accidents and cancer. It's overdoses. So that's kind of drawing down the numbers there. But here's some other information.
It's 38 years, by the way. Almost
38
40
years. Thank you. There we go. All right. So in 1980, healthcare costs per person in the US, so per capita annual healthcare costs in 1980, $1,100. In 2018, $10,739. So healthcare costs went up 10 times, and life expectancy went up 3 years. So not a good return on investment there. Let me give you a couple more, and then I'll stop with the stats. Average U.S. salary in 1980, $30,000. Average U.S. salary in 2018, $50,000. Didn't go up much in 38 years. Average U.S. home price in 1980, $79,000. Average U.S. home price in 2018, $400,000. So it went up 5 times. Here's something, this one blew my mind. The Dow Jones Industrial Average in 1980, 964. And as of the end of last year, or as of right now, we were over 25,000. So, in summary, if I was to read these stats, we've doubled our population. We haven't increased our life expectancy, really. Our healthcare went up 10 times. The stock market went up 25 times. Salary went up 1.6 times. And home value went up 5 times. So, read from that what you will as to where you invest, what you do with your life, your time. These, to me, are shocking numbers. I don't know. What do you guys think?
Don't invest in your own health. That's the moral of that story.
Pretty much. Yeah, but buy into the stock market.
Yeah, well, interestingly, because if you're looking at gold is a bet against the stock market. You're expecting the economy to crash if you're looking at gold. That's the only reason to buy gold. It's the term you use, crisis investing. I think things are going to head to the toilet quickly. Let me buy gold. So you counteracted yourself. Invest in the stock market, but you're not investing in the stock market.
Yeah, correct.
You know, one of the podcasts I listen to, Formula Podcast, free endorsement there. I think it's pretty cool. But he mentions that, back in the Roman days, an ounce of gold would buy you a nice toga and a pair of sandals, and today an ounce of gold will buy you a nice suit. So it is a hedge against inflation. So it isn't going to make you rich, but it will protect your wealth. So, and that's kind of that's why you get into gold. So,
right on.
My own personal measure of economy is loaves of bread versus hourly wage. How much money do you make per day? How many loaves of bread can you buy with that? And that's been remarkably consistent throughout history. It's like the price of gold. When you get down to the real things, the numbers are just abstract numbers. Right? Inflation, wages go up, but so do prices. It's been remarkably consistent that a day's wage will buy you a day's food. That within 10 to 15%, that has been true for as far back as I've been able to research.
Yeah, I tried to bring food costs into these statistics to give myself some sort of a cost of living type number, but it's hard to do that because of agronomics. I was using a cost of a quart of milk as a basis, and it's not that different. I mean, it's up a little bit, but it's not that different. But then you look at the technology they use to milk cows today, then that's why.
Yeah,
right?
Yeah. We always find a way to make those things stable. The life just goes on. Yeah, you can buy a suit, or you can buy a day's food. That's interesting. All right. So this topic of this week's Financial February, the last in the month, we missed the first week in February. As the title suggests, milestones, monuments, and merrymaking. Oftentimes, when you're talking about financial stuff, you're talking about long term. What did we just do, right? We just went back 38 years. Seth went back 2,038 years. I went back, several hundred years or 500 to 600 at least. When you talk about numbers, financial numbers, it's almost always long term. Right, I'm going to get out from under $140,000 worth of student debt. I'm going to pay off my $250,000 home. I'm going to amass $1 million for retirement. And these things take 20, 30, 40 years, and they're mind-bogglingly big numbers. And what I've found in my own life is that anytime you're trying to think long-term like that, the human brain just sort of fuzzes out. It's too abstract to get a handle on. And you could apply these principles to not just finances, but dieting, exercising, studying, anything like that. When you look at the mountain you have to climb, you just look at it and say, I can't do that. And you walk away from the mountain. If you look at it as, today, our base camp is going to be 1,000 feet up. That seems like an approachable goal. That is just a benchmark of the human mind across all cultures. We're all like that. We can't look at big things. But when it comes to finances, we only talk about the big things. We only talk about the huge goals. And it's so easy to get lost in that. And none of the things that I'm going to say today is new. I have stolen liberally from lots of other financial teachers. But one of the things that I found that works for me in everything, not just in finances, is to break things down into small things and then set up milestones. So the milestones are the things, those are the small goals, right? And then monuments is the next thing. Those are the big things. And then merrymaking, you got to have some fun along the way. Like, for example, taking it away from money, and my personal goal to be 1/3 the man I used to be, right? At one point, I tipped the scale in excess of 500 pounds. I don't know how much in excess of 500 pounds because my scale stopped at 500 pounds. But I do know that I lost weight for several months before I could actually see how much weight I had lost. So my assumption is 510 to 520, somewhere around there was my heaviest weight. Pause 1 moment. While I didn't power cycle my board. Hold on.
Hate it when that happens.
I should know better. So I don't know how much above 500, but something around 500. And my goal is to be around 200. That's not a realistic goal at my age and size. 200 is not really realistic, but 225, 230, somewhere around there. But the thing is, I'm looking to lose 300 pounds. And when you look at that number and you say, I need to lose 300 pounds, you just, well, I'll go have a donut instead. It's just, it's an insurmountable sort of thing. And I've found with experimentation over my own health and my own way of eating that I can't sustain, X carbs, X calories, macros, whatever you want to count. I simply am unable to sustain that without an end in sight. So I have to plan in cheat days, right? Every diet talks about cheat days. It's a thing that people need, right? And, you once a week, once every other week, once a month, whatever it is, your birthday, Christmas, don't even try to count calories on Thanksgiving Day. It's ridiculous. It's insane. It's self-defeating to try to do it. Well, the same thing is true in your financial life. You can't just be, as Dave Ramsey says, beans and rice, scorched earth all the time. And even he talks about the fact that you have to take all your money and divide it into 3 categories: give some, spend some, and save some. Right? And so spending some is to have some fun in there. So have a financial cheat day. Do it responsibly. Right? If you're going to have a cheat day in your diet, you can't consume 7,000 calories on that day and blow the whole week's worth of work. But you can go have an ice cream cone, right? And financially, it's the same thing. You can go out to a movie once in a while. And Seth and I were talking before the show started. When I take my family of 5 to a movie, we start at about $65. That's the base get in the door for 5 movie tickets. If we have popcorn and drinks, we're up over $100. If we go to a dine-in theater, which I like, we're now looking at anywhere from $180 to $200. That's not something we can do on a regular basis, but it is something that we can plan to do, and we can build into the budget, and we can budget an outing like that. And so even though we're trying to, meet financial goals, one of those goals needs to be having some fun once in a while. So those are things that I call merrymaking. You've got to build those in, but responsibly. What do you guys think about that so far?
Let you go first, Miles.
I like the idea. I think you got to do it. You've got to. If you can build habit around the stuff that's boring and you don't have to think about it and it just becomes normal everyday routine, then the stuff that's not routine has kind of exceptional value to you and you don't need as much of it. For me, I have my passion is motorsport. So I will go to 2 or 3 races every year. And, yeah, it's not cheap. I mean, I got to fly to a place that, you know, sometimes tickets are expensive. I got to stay in a hotel room. I got to rent a car and the whole bit. And maybe that experience is $1,000. I mean, maybe it's less. I don't know. But I will do that because I need to know that I'm still human. I'm in here in this computer, robotic, artificial world, working, keeping everybody else happy except myself. And you can do that for so long. And at some point, you got to go, hey, what about me? And so that's kind of my vice. I mean, what do you do, Seth?
Well, I mean, I try to budget, you know, like I would go see a movie every day just because I enjoy the theater. But I know, like, no, I'm not going to do that. And usually I pick the cheaper movie theaters, but occasionally it's Studio Movie Grill, and I'm not just going to like go in and see the movie. I'm going to, like, you know, eat a meal while I'm there. So yeah, you reward yourself, you know, a little bit, as long, you know, I look at it. If you're going up a mountain, you're not going straight up. You're going up this peak, then you come down a little valley so you can go up higher. If you're coming down off the mountain of debt, you're going down, and then you take this little peak so you get up so you can go down further. So that's the way I look at it. A one-time thing, you know, is a one-time thing. So, and those kind of things happen, and you have to budget as long as the overall direction is in your same way.
Right.
You pick up so much more stuff, you know, you splurge, and then that gives you an experience. And then you might, oh, you know, hey, I haven't been doing anything at all for a while, so I've never done whatever. I'm going to go try that. And then, you know, maybe you end up totally changing your life or whatever. But as long as your overall direction is one way, you take those little side detours, and that makes the journey worthwhile.
So what I'm calling milestones, if you're a Dave Ramsey acolyte, he calls those baby steps, right? You have your 7 steps that you go through. But one of his baby steps is, you know, free of all consumer debt. That's not a baby step. That's a 3 to 4 year process. He says the average is 2. That's a big deal. You've got to have baby steps within those baby steps, the milestones, and you celebrate those milestones. You look forward to them. You cross them off the wall, whatever. I paid off this credit card. That's a milestone. Or I have a net worth of X. So if you're looking at savings, right? So I'm going to retire, and I want to have roughly $100,000 income when I retire. That's my goal. Well, to do that. And to count on a market of 5 to 6% return, I need to have about $2 million in the bank at the time I retire. That seems like a ton of money. It is a ton of money. But with, you know, if I'm going to retire at, say, 50, and Miles, you just said the average life expectancy is 76. So that's 26 years I've got to live. $100,000 26 years from now may not be enough, right? But I'm also not going to have a lot of expenses. So the rough numbers are I need about $2 million in the bank. Some years I'll get more return, some years I'll get less. Well, a milestone for that might be hitting the $500,000 mark. That seems so huge, but that's why, I mean, milestones are supposed to be huge things. They're not something you do every day. That's not a milestone. That's a footstone. It's when you've walked a mile, that's when you say, I'm going to drop a stone here and I'm going to remember this moment. So big things, but attainable things. If you're looking at one of the examples I have here is 25% of household income to savings. If you're looking at budget, if you're looking at designing your budget, and you can say, I'm going to get to that $500,000 or $2 million mark, one way I've got to do that is stop spending so much money. So I've got to start curtailing things. Cutting debt payments is a good way to do that. So you might say, I want 25% of my money off the top to go into savings. That's a milestone. And if you're what Clark Howard here in the Atlanta market calls a max saver, you're living on 50% of your income, and 50% is going into savings. But you can't just do that today. Most people can't just say, starting tomorrow, I'm sending half my paycheck to savings, and I'm living on the other half. You've got to get there. You've got to work your way to that. Those are milestone moments. Build those. Plan those. Talk if you're a family, right? If you're a single person, it's easy. But if you're a family, if there's other people involved, you have to talk about it. You got to get buy-in. Everybody has to agree this is a milestone. And then aim for those, and then celebrate when you cross them off. And the next step, the bigger milestone, these are monuments. I go back to my Judeo-Christian roots often. In the Old Testament, when a big thing happened, when the Israelites were brought through a tough time, or when Jacob first crossed the Jordan. He built the biblical term is an Ebenezer. He built an Ebenezer. He built a stack of stones. And this goes across lots of different cultures, not just Jewish culture, but you can go back or you might dig a well. That was another Ebenezer that people would do. This is a thing. This represents this huge thing that happened to me. We need these monuments in our lives. We need to build up Ebenezers from time to time. We need to say something like, I just paid off my student loan debt. Look at that. Circle it. Celebrate it. Look back later on it. When things seem insurmountable, you can say, this is a thing. This thing took me 8 years to do. It shows that I can do a thing that takes 8 years to do. Build those monuments. Shine them up. Keep them polished. Take tours of them on a regular basis, because those successes in your life will fuel you in times when you can't see a route to success. When things are dark, you need to be able to look back at your own monuments. And that's not a thing in our American Western culture. We don't do that. We should, not just with money, but with everything. We should take moments and we should build monuments, and we should be able to look back on the life in our life and say, this was a really big thing. This thing nearly killed me, but it didn't kill me. And now when I think something is going to kill me, I can look back and say, here's a thing that I survived. Look at this monument. You guys have any examples of monuments in your own lives?
I remember when I paid off my student loan debt. Oh my gosh, it was such a huge deal. I was watching it and tracking it, and then when it got down lower and lower and lower, I was like, okay, this is month. And and if you look at the numbers, my student loan debt is the worst debt to pay off first, because it's the lowest interest rate and it's a direct write-off on your income on your taxes. But for me, it got to the point to where my student loan was the smallest debt I have. And in the snowball method, it's like, I need a win. And when it got down to it, it meant, hey, my credit card debt this month, it's only going to fall a few bucks because I'm getting that student loan debt. And then it was just like, there was one less debt. And it was like, it doesn't matter what, you get your credit card paid off, you can do something, but it's like, no, that's a loan and it's over and it's gone. And I was like, oh my gosh, you just like, hey, if I paid that off. And I remember when I had no job and it was staring me in the face and all of that. And it was like, I just made my last payment, and, and that's been years and years ago. And I just like, it was amazing. I did that, and it's not a financial thing, but I remember when I finished college and actually graduated, I was on the decade plan off and on, but it was just like, hey, I finished something. I got a degree, and that says something about me. When you want to give up, it's like, well, wait a minute, I finished that. I can do this. And so, they're very important, and they can provide you a source of strength, Yeah,
that college diploma hanging on the wall is a monument. And that's the thing. It says, I can play the game for 4 years or more, and I can do what's required of me, even when I disagree with it. That's a monument, and that's a thing. I don't even know where mine is. I couldn't tell you where mine is. I should find it, and I should hang it up, because that's a monument. That's a thing. Miles, what about you?
Well, I'm a little more liquid than that. Yeah, I do have monuments, I guess. But mine are a little juxtaposed, because the way I look at things is kind of unusual. I take, that 76 average years of life expectancy is a really important number when you're actually looking at how to strategize your life, because the way I do it is I break life up into 4 quarters. The first quarter, let's say each quarter is 18 or 20 years based on average life expectancy. So the first 20 years is your nurturing phase, when you're being raised by parents. Your expectations are low. Your goal is to learn to walk, to learn to talk, learn to read, learn to write, and learn to socialize, and eventually come out the other end as a, quote, adult, right? That you can't be expected to earn money and save money in that period of time. Some people do. I kind of did, but most people, they don't. Their job is to go to school. The second quarter of your life is what I would call the building quarter, the building phase. You're building a life for yourself. You're building a career. You're building a family. You're building an education. You're building a house. You're building a life. You're building a routine. And that will take you until maybe the mid-40s, somewhere like that. And it's really hard when all of your expectations and your income has to be diverted into building something, because you got to build something. Otherwise, what, are you going to be homeless? No. Homeless with a big bank account isn't a way to live life, people. I mean, it's not. You need to build something. So family, you build all this sort of stuff. That third quarter is a consolidation and optimization period. You hope by about the age of 45 or 50 that you kind of learned something and you kind of have life experiences, and you'll say to yourself, geez, I'll never do that again, or I know how to do this better and faster and smarter because I was sick and tired of doing it the wrong way when I was 30. You've got that in your background. And so at that point in time, this represents the peak income earning years of your life. And the goal is grab and hold, just amass wealth like crazy. Because that final quarter where you're in retirement and you're, eating Jell-O and sitting watching TV all day, or you're on the golf course, or you're doing whatever you do in retirement, the end is nigh. You know that, you're coming to the end of the 76 average years. Somewhere down there, you're going to hit the finishing line. And you just hope that you left the world a better place for having done it. And at that point in time, you're back to what you were when you were a kid. You're not expected to earn money. You're not expected to work. You're expected to live off what you did in the other quarters of your life. And if you apply that methodology, then all of a sudden saving has to be put in context with where are you on those in that quartile process? Because you can't save when you're a kid. I mean, maybe you can if you're really good. And you're certainly not expected to save when you're in your waning period, in your final quarter. So if you put all of your effort into saving in your second quarter, the advantage is the world and physics and compound reality and all this sort of plays in your favor, and you make a lot of money. But if you went into the building phase with very little and you sold your future out, your mortgages, your car payments, your student loans, all those things that you're selling your future to pay for, when you get to the end of that second quarter and you're going to go into that third quarter, you might not have the ability to start amassing savings and to get those milestones. That's the scary part. That's why, to me, as a father of a 21-year-old daughter, my goal is to make sure that as she goes into the second quartile of her life, she doesn't sell her future out way too early for the nice car and the Louis Vuitton bag.
And that is the American way. The American way is to squander your second quarter.
Yeah. But, if you talk to the FI people, the people in the financial independence movement, they will tell you save 75% of your money in your second quarter because you're living like you were in your first. And that's very, very smart, but it's very rare that people can achieve it.
Yeah. So if you add up all the money I've made, I'm 46. I started working at 18. So in all of those years, almost 30 years of working, I have made over $1 million. I haven't done the math on it, but $1 million is probably not unreasonable. I have spent $1 million. It's all gone. My savings is very little because it was in that building phase. I like that way of looking at it. There's an author, I can't remember, John MacArthur, is it maybe? He refers to the 3 stages of man as a warrior, a king, and a sage. And of course, you're not a man when you're a child, so that doesn't count. But it's that same sort of thing. First, you're a warrior. You're out there conquering territory. You're wooing and you're killing and you're building, and then you're a king. You're presiding over all that you have conquered. And then you're a sage, passing on the wisdom and preparing somebody else to run your kingdom. Same sort of model as what you just described. But if you're not, if you come out of that warrior phase or of that second quartile, to use your analogy, and you don't have anything yet, it makes that third quarter, the king quarter, much more difficult because you're having to catch up. And that's where I am. I'm having to catch up. And in fact, most people are like that. I'm not unusual in that. Most people hit 50 and realize, I'm in real trouble.
I would say, though, there's absolutely no reason to beat yourself up if you went through the building quarter of your life and you spent all of your time and energy and your money and your time and earning capacity to build. Because if you've walked away with a house and a car and a family, and you've got something to show for that building phase, you're a success in my book. You don't have to have oodles of money in the bank and all that other stuff. Don't forget all that other stuff was what you were expected to do in the second quarter. The most important thing, which you guys are so good at talking about, is that in building that second quarter of your life, you didn't sell your future out. You didn't take on more debt and more future burden, so that in the third quarter, the big income earning quarter, you're not sitting there giving all the money you make to the bank.
Right. You know what? Often people look at weddings as a milestone. A wedding is a monument when you're a parent. I have 3 daughters. I'm probably going to have 3 weddings in my near future. Those are monuments. Look what I did. I built a person, and that person is now going to go off and build their own life. That's a monument. And it's important to look at those as that's part of your building phase. All the things I don't have now, I could be so rich if I chose not to have kids, but I'm spending my money on my kids. You know, and again, that's a very American way to do things. We don't have multi-generational households. I don't have the benefit of multi-generations of a family, of a household, of a building to raise up. And we start over every time. And when my kids are, 20, 21, 23, whatever it is, when they get married, they're going to start over again. And that's just the way we do things in the West. But it's important to look at those things as those are monuments. Those are things that you did a thing. And the thing you did was you made a whole person. And anybody can make a baby, but to produce a quality human, that's a thing to be celebrated. Anything else? Yeah. All right. And then the last thing on my list, I've already talked about it, is the Merriment. Enjoy the life along the way. That doesn't have to be expensive. It's got to be planned. So the things I put down here are a paid for vacation. If you go on vacation and have to pay for it later, that's dumb. Pay for it first, then go. Right. And then we have the list of things we can finally afford. Right. So my wife and I, the topic of discussion in our house on a regular basis right now is new furniture, because we have 3 daughters and they've destroyed everything we own. And you can't have nice things and have kids. So at some point, we're going to go out and we're going to replace all the destroyed carpets and ruined floors and broken couches, and we're going to get new stuff. That'll be both a monument and a merriment. Look, we can finally do this sort of stuff again, but it's got to be paid for. I'm not going to go slap down a credit card and say, fill her up. That's the one message I wanted to say is when I want you to have fun with your money, but have fun with the money you have, not the money that you hope to earn later. If you're buying a steak dinner on a credit card, you may be paying for that steak for 3.5 years at 18% interest. That's a very expensive steak. So enjoy things, but do so responsibly. Any thoughts on that?
And and that's the thing. All of what we're saying, this isn't some super secret. You've been initiated into the club. This is the uncommon sense. If it were common, more people would have it kind of stuff. And look where we could be if we did 5% YOLO and 95% tomorrow. We're 99% YOLO and 1%. I don't even know what the other percent was. And if we reverse that, I found this website, and it's put out by the federal government of all people, and it shows the effect of compounding interest and how if you start when you're 20 with $200, it only takes less than the historical average return of the stock market to have over $1 million when you retire. And that's less than the average return of the stock market. And
that's not adding to that $200, right? That's just $200.
That's $200 a month. Oh. $200 of savings a month starting at age 20, and you have well over $1 million when you retire at something below the average historical return of the stock market. And versus, I'm gonna go to Europe today, and I want that new car, and the iPhone 9, the iPhone 10, the iPhone stupid, the whatever, and you get all this crap. and you have nothing to show for it, and then you have nothing that you get to be generous with later on because your generosity was given to the banks and was given to the computer companies and not given to the people that, you know, we say we love and care about, but yet, you know. So, and like I say, this isn't rocket science. It isn't some hidden knowledge. It's forgotten knowledge because we know better than, you know, the people of the past.
I think the important thing also is to consider the concept of financial sustainability as opposed to financial retirement or independence or anything like that. If you can build things that make money without you being there, yeah, passive income. This has always been my mantra. This is what I do. I can go on a vacation for a month to Paris or Rome or whatever. And when I come back, even though it might have cost me $10,000, well, it doesn't, you know, I do the travel hacking, but whatever. even though it might have cost me a ton of money, when I come back, I am richer than when I left. And I didn't do squat to be richer. Now, if you've got that strategy in place, you can live until you have dying breath, and you'll never worry about being a burden on a pension or a social security or anything to anybody else, because when you don't want to work, you're still earning money. That's the key. Sustainability is the key. And the thing is, when you give all of that money to a third party, you know, you give it to Wall Street, you give it to your stockbroker, you give it to your financial advisor, that level of trust, I would have a hard time with that. Because I just don't think that when in an SHTF situation, would that guy really have my interests at heart or his own? And at the end of the day, I might be a control freak with this sort of thing. I can't give it up to Wall Street, even though it might have these massive returns. I need to be able to put it in the ground and feed it myself. That's just me. But it's all about sustainability. It's about having money make you money so you don't have to work, so you can grow old gracefully and still have that trip to Rome and that trip to Paris.
As long as that's part of the overall process. You know,
and
it has to start early.
Exactly.
Yeah. And to sum up what Dave Ramsey would say on that point, you know, or I think it was him, are you going to work hard for your money, or are you going to have your money work hard for you? So,
yeah. It's Richard Kiyosaki for sure would say that, you know, Rich Dad, Poor Dad. Is it Richard, right? Did I get it right?
Robert
Kiyosaki. That's it. And as soon as I said it, it didn't seem right. He's all about, you know, passive income, and you know, it's the sort of the smart way to make money. So they say. I just hadn't figured out how to do it yet. Someday.
Well, fun fact about Robert Kiyosaki. I have to share this story because it's kind of weird. I went to CES this year, right, back in January, and I'm getting on the flight. It was a Southwest flight. But Robert Kiyosaki lives in Phoenix, by the way. So I get on the flight, and I'm wondering. I get one of those early bird, you know, things because my credit card gives it to me for free. So I'm like, you know, in the first group. And I'm wandering down with my bag, and who is sitting on the plane in the aisle seat in about row 10? Robert Kiyosaki. And I've got this pile of people behind me, and I'd never met the guy before in my life. And I got up to where I was next to him, and I stopped, and I shook the guy's hand, and I said, "Thank you for everything you do." And he says, "What's your name?" And we got talking, and I said, "You, sir, changed my life." And then I went, with everyone yelling at me from behind, I went to the back of the plane and sat down. And, of course, he got off, and I never saw the guy ever again. But sometimes you get that moment in time to thank your heroes. And I had that moment in January, and I probably, to the day I die, will never forget that.
That's cool.
Rich Dad, Poor Dad. Read it.
Yep.
It's an excellent starting point. So, Seth, tell me what happened this week in history.
All right, Mark. Well, I wanted to let you and all of the fine folks in the Element Opie Empire know that on February the 22nd, 1999, the first internet-only bank opens. So making its second appearance on this segment, the state of Indiana makes history again. The first internet bank of Indiana opens, becoming the first full-service bank accessible only through the internet. The bank was founded in 1997 by entrepreneur David B. Becker, incorporated on October the 28th, 1998, and opened to the public February 22nd, 1999. And it's engaged in primarily retail banking type stuff, and it has developed and maintained a strong reputation for outstanding personal service via telephone, and that's what keeps it attracting new customers. And Mark, think about that. In 1999, the first internet-only bank opened, and now back to you.
Yeah, 1999, 20 years ago.
Yeah.
It doesn't seem like that seems too late, too early. 1999 for internet banking. That seems like they were. I mean, well, they were the first, right? They were certainly
Right.
early bird. Most people today still don't do an internet-only bank. Pretty impressive.
Are they still active? Are they still operating?
Yes.
Oh, wow.
As of their Wikipedia page says they're still active. Who has time to go to their actual website? But one of my banks is internet only. So, and I get a much higher savings rate there than I do through my credit union.
Yeah.
So, and Prince was saying that was going to be the end of time. So very good on them to take a risk.
Party like it's 1999.
Yeah.
Cool stuff. I hope you've enjoyed this segment, this Financial February. It has been a departure from the last couple of years, but I hope it's been worthwhile. And let us know if you want to do it again. But now, Seth, before I tell people how they can contact us, what do you have to close the show in style this week?
Okay, well, first of all, we're going to use some listener feedback next week for our This Week in History. Got some eye-popping stats I've rounded up today. But this is a website I came across online, bigmamaspizza.com. I believe they're somewhere in the New York area. So if you go to their website and scroll down till you find the giant Sicilian, and just look at that and drool. That's just, I just wanted people to see that. I mean, it looks a little pricey, but dude, it looks awesome. So a whopping 54-inch by 54-inch, which equates to almost 3,000 square inches of pizza. 200 square slices serves 50 to 70 people.
It's always $300.
Yeah. Introducing the giant Sicilian at bigmamaspizza.com. If you go there, tell them Elma Opie sent you.
So it's.
Oh my God! They're in Los Angeles.
Oh, is it Los Angeles?
Yeah,
Okay.
Yeah, I'm there.
It's been a few days since I've looked at them.
So the base price is $300. Each additional topping $20. Extra cheese $35. So, and the base is just sauce and cheese, right? So if you want pepperoni, you're looking at $320. If you want pepperoni and sausage, $340. You want extra cheese on that, $375. It better feed a lot of people.
4.5 feet by 4.5 feet.
Road trip.
24 hours advance notice required. And no, they don't deliver.
Carnivore night right there, baby. That would be awesome.
Oh, good stuff, Seth. So now this is how you can tell us what you think about the show. If you're Jenda and you're in the chat room right now, you can type, "It was fun, thanks." And that's an immediate feedback. That was awesome. Thanks, Jenda. You can do that by going to elmanopie.com long about somewhere around the time of 7:30 Eastern time on Sunday evenings. And you can be right here in the chat room and hang out with us, and that would be great. If you don't want to do that, you could do he asked, what oven do you cook that pizza in? That clearly has to be a specially made oven. Wow.
That's why it's $300.
Yeah. So anyway, you can also go to elementopie.com, click the Contact Us button at the top of the page, answer the world's hardest CAPTCHA, fill out the form there. That sends something. It will go to my inbox, and it will get priority there. I will read your stuff before I read the spam from H&R Block about how I should be doing my taxes right now. You get priority. Or you can dial 559-IAM-OPIE and leave us a voicemail, and we'll play it there. Or you can send an email to geekrant@elementopie.com. See, options. I'm all about options. You got 3 different ways you can contact us, or 4 if you count the chat room. So let us know what you think. Ideas, other theme months. Financial February was just nice alliteration. Maybe we could do a Money March. No, that would be too much. A Machinima March. I don't know. We'll figure out if you've got some nice alliterative theme months suggestions. Let us know at elementopie.com. Thanks for hanging out with us. Miles, any final words to wrap up not only this show, but Financial February 2019?
No, but I got to go and host the Oscars.
Oh, okay.
Save now, save often.
All right. Thanks for hanging out with us. That's it for this episode of the GeekRant. And remember, pay for what you like.
Toodaloo.
Oh, and Patreon. That's a thing. All right. That's it. Thanks, everybody. Jinda, as always.
Got it.
Pleasure to have you around. And goodbye, YouTube land.